Do you really need $1 million in order to be able to retire comfortably? Guys, in this video, what I want to do is I want to debunk the whole myth about everybody needs a net worth of $1 million in order to be able to retire comfortably. So guys, if you are like me, if you're watching this YouTube channel, chances are you are behind on retirement. You're looking for how much do I need to save for retirement? Will I be able to retire? I'm late for retirement or whatever. And the one thing that you see flashing everywhere is you need a net worth of $1 million. I know, guys, because I am late to saving for retirement. I'm 51 years old. I don't have anywhere near $1 million. And all I see is young YouTubers talking about you need $1 million. You see investment firms talking that you need $1 million. You see the news media instilling fear that you need $1 million in order to be able to retire comfortably. But is this really true? Hey guys, if you are new to this channel, my name is Susan Velez, and on this channel we talk about making money, saving money, investing money, and taking care of our health so that we can catch up for retirement, especially if you are late to saving for retirement like me. So guys, I'm going to take you guys to the computer. I'm going to show you guys some articles, some information that I found online while digging online to see what I need to save for retirement, because as you know, I am late to saving for retirement. So I look up all this content all the time, and I want to share with you guys what I found and share with you guys why you might not need $1 million to help you relieve the stress, especially if you are late to saving for retirement like me, guys, to help you alleviate the pain or the stress that you're feeling because you're late for catching up for retirement. And you know for a fact that you're not going to be able to save $1 million, especially if you don't have a lot of time left. Your time horizon for retirement is coming close and you're nowhere near to saving for retirement, especially nowhere near $1 million. So let's go to the computer. Let's walk through these articles so that you can feel good about where you are and feel good because you might actually be ahead of the game compared to these realistic numbers than what the media and everybody wants you to think about needing $1 million. So let's go to the computer and let's debunk the myth of everybody needs $1 million in order to be able to retire comfortably. All right, guys. So here we are at the computer, and I want to share with you guys several articles, some statistics, and just some information to help you ease your mind if you feel like you're behind on catching up for retirement and you're never going to be able to retire. So here I am on Fidelity, guys. Of course, we hear it all the time by these Fidelity experts and these brokerage account companies and the big bank companies. We hear people saying that you need $1 million to retire. According to this chart right here by Fidelity, guys, it says savings factors to help you on your journey to retirement. So based on your age, guys, if you're 50 years old like me, guys, then you should have 6 times your annual salary. And if you're 55, means you should have 7 times your annual salary. At age 60, you should have 8 times your annual salary. And at 67, guys, you should have 10 times your annual salary. So if you go based on these statistics, guys, according to realistic statistics, guys, so many people will not be able to retire. So now let's go look at some realistics, guys. So I typed into Google or what percentage of retirees have $1 million, because I wanted to know for sure how many people are actually retiring millionaires. So according to this article that was updated on July 2nd, 2024 by Smart Asset, it says statistically around 10% of retirees have $1 million or more in savings. So only 10% of Americans retire with $1 million net worth. So what does that mean for the rest of the 90% of us who don't have $1 million or don't believe that we're going to be able to be millionaires by the time we retire? So now let me ask you this. Why do so many news people talk about that you have to have $1 million? And why are so many people saying that you need to have $1 million, especially when it comes to brokerage companies like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and all these people that have products to sell you? Well, there you go, guys. They have something to sell. So they want you to feel like you need $1 million, because if you are striving to become a millionaire, that means they're making money off of the products that they're selling to you. Now, do I think it's wrong to strive to be a millionaire if that's what you want to do? No, I don't. I don't think that there's nothing wrong with trying to invest as much money as you want. The purpose of this video is to tell you or show you that you don't need $1 million to retire. So if you are a low income earner, you're behind on retirement, and you don't think that you're going to be able to be a millionaire by the time you retire, guys, that's fine. So now let's go ahead and talk about why the news does it, because the news really has nothing to gain from you because they're not selling you anything. But right here, guys, on this website, it says the news of today is designed to generate as many views and clicks as possible by exploiting our fears and biases. So speaking of retirement, so if people or the financial media has anything to gain from you, they're looking for clicks and views because that's how they get people to watch this information. So if you're constantly watching the Financial News Network or Kramer or all these stock media channels, they're trying to exploit on your fears, especially if you are behind on retirement. Because as a society, guys, one of the things that causes us to make decisions, rash decisions, is our fear. Our fear in all kinds of ways, whether we're scared of something or we feel like we're missing out on something. And that causes us to jump in and make rash decisions. But I want to share with you guys why you shouldn't let the fear, especially if you're watching a lot of news, guys. The first thing that I can tell you is to stop watching so much of that financial media, guys. Just know that as long as you have a plan and you are saving on a consistent basis, you should be fine, guys. So now let's come over here and look at this article that I really think is very important, because it says, do we really need $1 million in retirement savings? Not even close, one top economist says. So now let's go ahead and look at some of the highlights. Some of the highlights in this article says, if you want to retire in comfort, investment firms and news headlines will tell you that you need $1 million in the bank. So we've already covered why they do this. But one prominent economist says you can retire for a lot less, $50,000 to $100,000 in total savings. So guys, I don't know about you, but if you're behind on retirement and you're nowhere near $1 million, and most of us, especially if you've started investing and you're saving on a consistent basis, most of us already have $50,000 to $100,000 in total savings. So this means that most of us are already ahead of the game. Now, does it mean that you stopped saving and investing because you might already have $50,000 to $100,000 in total savings? No. It just means that you can relax a little bit, but you continue down the path with your goal of saving as much as you can for retirement, because you don't know what retirement's going to look like in the future, but it can help you ease the discomfort or the stress if you're feeling stressed, because you might already have enough to retire. So let's take a deeper look into this article. So it says you don't need to be a millionaire to retire. This was a article written by somebody named Andrew Biggs, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute think tank, and published in April in the Wall Street Journal. So guys, I don't have access to the Wall Street Journal because I don't pay for my news. I refuse to pay for a subscription, but I do read a lot of articles online about the financial world because I'm always looking for ways to increase my knowledge with financial literacy, because as I mentioned before, guys, nobody is going to teach you this stuff. You have to go out and you have to look for it, because like I said, the news media is always trying to instill fear. So when we get into the realistic stuff, realistic information for people like me and you who might be average and don't earn a lot of money, I just want you to know that this article is written for us, guys, to help you understand that you don't need to be a millionaire. So let's take a deeper dive, guys. It says most Americans retire with nowhere near $1 million in saving. The notion that we need that much money to fund a secure retirement arises from opinion polls, personal finance columns, and 2 or 3 rules of thumb that suffuse the financial planning business. So financial advisors will tell you that you need to save 10 times your annual salary. But guys, that would mean that most Americans would need 1.46 million in the bank to retire comfortably, or investments to retire comfortably, guys. And we've already discussed the fact that only 10% of Americans retire as millionaires. So let's take a look at how some of these retirees are doing today. So it says most retirees say they're doing just fine. So Andrew Biggs, the one who wrote that article in Wall Street Journal, he says, to prove his point, he looked at responses from the Federal Survey of Household Economics and Decision Making between 2019 and 2022. So that wasn't too long ago, guys. That was just a few years ago. The survey asked retirement age Americans 65 to 74 how well they were managing financially. A majority, roughly 85%, said they were doing just fine. They were living comfortably, or at least doing okay. So only 15% said they were struggling. The finding matters, Big says, because most retirees have much less than 1 million in the bank. In the federal survey, the typical senior who reported a satisfactory retirement had $50,000 to $100,000 in savings. So guys, if you have $50,000 to $100,000 right now, you're likely going to be okay. Now, can you improve on that? Absolutely, we can always improve on that. And I think that we should improve on that. But I think that if you are already there, this should make you feel good about yourself. So let's take a closer look at this, okay? So why do you not have to have $1 million? So it says the average couple who retired in 2022 reaped nearly $46,000 in annual Social Security benefits. So we all think, or most of us think, that Social Security is going to be completely gone. I've mentioned it before, guys, in several of my videos. I don't think Social Security is going to be completely gone. I think politicians will always keep it around. Do I think that we will get the full 100% benefits that the baby boomers are getting right now? No, I don't think so, but it will still be around. And if you worked at least 10 years or paid into Social Security at least 10 years, you will get access to Social Security. And that's why I think that it's so important that you go to the Social Security website, sign up for a free account so that you can kind of see what you're going to be getting when you do retire, guys, because you will be getting some type of Social Security. So depending on the amount of Social Security you get, you're not going to be living in an extravagant lifestyle, but it is going to be extra income that's coming into your household. So right here it says, while the sum is hardly extravagant, a typical couple can expect an income more than twice the elderly poverty threshold before they touch a penny of their own savings. So depending on the amount that you get, guys, is going to mean that you might not have to touch as much of your own savings and investments as you thought, because Social Security is going to help bridge that gap. And also, guys, you have to remember that when you do start taking your money out, you're not pulling it out all at once from the stock market. You are just pulling out a percentage of your money. And most people withdraw 4%. This means that the rest of your money is sitting in the stock market, catching the highs. That way, when the stock market is doing really good, your investments are still growing. So that's why you hear a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of people tell me that they retired with $238,000 several years ago, yet they're only taking out a small portion on a regular basis and leaving their investments in the stock market. So based on the ups and downs that the stock market has been doing since they've been retired, they still have a nest egg that is more than what they had when they retired. So you have to remember that your investments continue to grow. Now, we all know that the investments will take a hit when the stock market is going down, but that's one of the risks of investing in the stock market. But just because you get older and you retire, guys, doesn't mean that you're pulling everything out of the stock market at once. It just means that you are no longer focusing 100% on growth. You are putting your investments in safer investments. But just because you're in safer investments doesn't mean they're not going to grow anymore. It just means they're not going to grow as fast as when you had them in riskier investments when you were younger. So let's keep looking at this, guys. So we all know that when people say that you don't need $1 million to retire, there's going to be both positive and negative reaction from the community, because they don't want you to believe that you don't need $1 million, because the big media wants you to think that you do need $1 million. So right here it says, guys, Biggs is noted. So right here, guys, it says Biggs is a noted conservative economist and something of a contrarian. Earlier this year, he and a colleague sparked outrage with a paper that argued for eliminating the 401k plan. His new assertion, the people don't need $1 million to retire in comfort, flies in the face of common wisdom in the retirement planning industry. So some people are saying, what about healthcare costs? Well, we all know that when you get older, yes, you are going to have healthcare costs, but guys, you also are going to have access to Medicare. And Medicare, if you live in the United States or if you live in North Carolina, I know comes with like a type of extra insurance that you can buy. And I only know this because my partner's parents have told me a lot about Medicare and how they do it. So they go to the doctor all the time. And if it wasn't for Medicare and that extra plan that they pay for, I think they use Humana. And if it wasn't for that extra plan, yes, they would be boggled down with all types of medical costs. And I'm not saying they don't pay anything for medical costs, but honestly, I was surprised on how little they pay for their own medical out of pocket because of Medicare and that extra plan. So make sure that you do your due diligence when you get there, guys, because when you do reach Medicare age, you want to make sure that you understand what you're buying, and make sure, especially as we get older, we all know that eventually, as we get older, some of us are going to go to the doctor a lot more than we did when we were younger. So you want to make sure that you're buying the right type of plan that's going to help you or limit the amount that you're going to pay for your medical expenses. But hopefully we can take care of our health right now, do everything that we can right now to prevent us or from having to deal with that when we get older. So let's continue down this article. So it says, in the 2022 edition of the Federal Survey of Consumer Finances, when seniors were asked how they would handle a financial emergency, only 58% said they could rely on savings. To Munnell, that figure reflects the depth of financial insecurity among retirees. So when you're on a fixed income, it is harder to come up with the money for emergencies. And that's why you don't want to have all your money in the stock market when you get older, or period when you're younger, guys. You want to make sure that you're investing a certain portion of your income, but you're also having some type of emergency fund. And also when you get older, you want to make sure that you have another bank account or high yield savings account that you are putting money in that will help you bridge the gap, so that if the stock market is doing bad, you don't have to necessarily touch all your stocks, because you don't want to be digging into your stocks or using your stocks if the stock market plummets. So that is important to take into consideration as you do get older. So right here, guys, it says another one. It says a lot of people, they're saying that this survey might be a little skewed, because it says, why did only 15% of seniors in the federal survey say they were struggling? So Manel thinks that many retirees are reluctant to discuss their financial problems in surveys. So think about it, guys. We were never taught anything about money. Most people don't like to talk about money. And if you're late to saving for retirement, you don't want to admit that you screwed up, because our pride, we don't want to let people know that we screwed up, we're suffering, or we're stressing about money because I made a lot of bad decisions when I was younger. So they're saying that the survey is skewed because people are not being honest, because they don't want to admit that they made their mistakes. So now let's take a look at how much retirement savings do retirees actually have. So it says the typical senior with a retirement account has about $200,000 saved, according to data for households in the 65 to 74 age range from the 2022 survey of consumer finances. But only about half of those households report having retirement accounts at all. So guys, Like I said, I know somebody, my partner's parents have a little over, I don't know, I want to say about $250,000 in their investments. So I can definitely say that this is about right. Now, I don't know about everybody, but I do know that this is about accurate for the people that I know. And another reason that you don't need $1 million when you retire, guys, is because believe it or not, when you get older and you're on a fixed income, your spending habits or your budget decreases a lot. I mean, yeah, we already covered medical expenses, but guys, take away the medical. When you're younger, guys, you still have a job. That means you're commuting to work. You're spending a lot of money on gas. You have transportation needs or expenses. You're not going to have all that stuff. Yes, you're not going to stay at home like a hermit when you get older, but you're not going to need as much gas as you do right now when you're commuting back and forth to work. It says right here, older retirees travel less, eat less, and spend less on children. So your medical expenses will probably rise, but your Medicare and your subsidy insurance that you purchase along with Medicare is probably going to take care a good portion of your medical costs, guys. So keep that in mind. Also, it's so important to make sure that you're not taking a lot of debt into your retirement, because the less debt that you have when you go into retirement, that means that you're going to be better off, guys. So right here, guys, in the USA Today article that I'm sharing with you guys, it says no two retirements are alike. Some retirees are still making mortgage payments or supporting grandchildren, while other people have paid off their mortgage and they have no debt. So, based on what your financial issue looks like when you get into retirement, is going to depend on how much you actually need. But it says right here, guys, it says if you got $50,000, you're probably doing okay. So like I said, guys, it doesn't mean that you stop saving. The purpose of this video is to show you that most of us, myself included, are probably doing okay. Now, could we do better? Yeah, but you don't need $1 million. You might not need $1 million to retire comfortably. And that's why I think it's so important to find out what your retirement is going to look like. What type of budget are you going to need? What kind of expenses are you going to have in retirement? And guys, there's a lot of people who are going to say this is a lie. This is, you're going to need a lot more. And maybe, but don't you feel a lot better when you realize that realistically, you don't need $1 million, and only 10% of Americans retire with $1 million. So the other 90% have less. And if you still want more information on this, or you still don't feel secure, go to YouTube, guys. Type in, I retired with less than $1 million, and you're going to see all these YouTube people come up sharing their experience, how they're retired and living on less than $1 million. Let me know down in the comments below, guys, if this video gives you hope and makes you realize that you are doing better than you thought you were, because you already have $50,000 to $100,000 in your investments and savings. And let me know what your goal is, if you're still striving, if you feel more comfortable about where you're going. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, click on that subscribe button so that you can be notified whenever I put out a new video. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a great day.